about something that seems very important right now in this time. And it came up today during a conversation with my dear brother Matt about how it could be beneficial for me to share a specific story and a specific element in my life. And that is the ability to begin cultivating and learning the language of your internal environment, your universe. Believe it or not, there's a whole universe inside of you, and it is like an amazing garden, and it wants to be watered and tended to. And it might seem at first like this language that the body speaks is a foreign language. And that's okay if it is, if it's speaking Spanish or intuition or whatever that language is that it's speaking. And over time, trust that you will develop the ability to speak its language, and not only speak it, but just listen to it, tuning in to what it is telling you, and becoming aware of what each thing means. So this specifically came up in a very comical way during my phone call with Matt today. He said, "So when are you going to tell your Instagram followers that sometimes you randomly eat meat?" And I laughed because that has been true. I have been mostly raw vegan for a year. I've been mostly vegan for 6-7 years. But when people come to see me for nutrition consultations, I don't usually focus too much on diet. I focus on helping them gain the ability to listen in. So I would love to share with you what Matt was talking about, and what these circumstances were like. So the most recent thing, after being 100%, actually I had two cooked meals from my spiritual teachers. I could not turn down cooked meals from my spiritual teachers, but those were vegan. But 2 weeks ago, something like that, I began some serious coursework. I'm studying to be a naturopathic physician, and I'm starting my master herbalist diploma, and I get to study the Native American tribe, the Southern Arapaho tribe that lives here. And after researching them, I'm like, oh my gosh, they just eat bison. They supplement with the herbs and the small amounts of fruits and berries and things that grow, but they just eat bison. Like, I want to live like them. I'm living on this land, and that's how they live. That's the most natural way to live here. And it was this interesting thing that happened in my mind. Like, there was just a shift. It was like, okay, now you're gonna eat bison. You're gonna forget all of those fruit, raw vegan things, greens that you've been taught recently and that you've been living, and you're just gonna go back to the ways of the natives that lived here. And it was just an easy switch. Like, my mind was just like, okay, this thing is happening. Like, and I had all these reasons why that was the way I wanted to now walk in the world, And after the first bite of bison, I pretty much just ate bison and spinach and a little bit of eggs for like 3 days straight. And of course, when you're eating something like that, you don't need a lot of it. So I didn't eat a lot. And I just did it. And the first meal was fine. I felt like this interesting new energy. And it's my dog digging in the carpet. And by the third day, the second day I was feeling good. I was like, oh yeah, I'm just going to start leading this new life and it's going to be fine. I had no judgment towards myself because I felt a certain way and was receiving downloads in a certain way, no judgment. And the third day, I woke up in the middle of the night and my intestines were in pain. I remember sitting up to get out of bed and was like, ow! And I like moaned and just felt it digesting. And My dog just looked at me funny. And I was like, oof, noted, you know, and I've had that happen, let's see, one other time, probably I think about 4 years ago, I made my dog a whole turkey, and as I was like tearing it apart to separate it, when I fed her cooked meat, I feed her raw meat now, but when I fed her cooked meat, and I was tearing it apart, and like, even though I wasn't salivating, it's interesting to notice now, like, some part of me is like, oh, this is so animalistic, you should just eat some with her, you know, you're tearing it apart, just eat it, even though my body didn't want it. And so I noticed all of these are mind things, actually, and not noticing what my body wants. So that's cool that we're talking about that. So these were all things that my mind wanted, right? The shift to eating bison recently, and then this turkey. And I remember, like, after eating this turkey, like, I was just in agonizing pain, and like my roommates were hearing me. You know, we lived in this big open community house, and like I was like wailing all night long. It was terrible. And that was more in my stomach. Oh, it was not good. And so on the third day of this little stint of eating bison and living like the natives, whew, I just got nauseous. My breasts got incredibly sore. And my left breast specifically, I had like a red mark like start to appear, and it was so painful and tender and felt like hard. So what it did was it highlighted the weakness in my body. You know, it's so acidic, inflammatory, bacterial ridden, you know, that it instantly exacerbated every weak part in my body instantly. And I went, holy shit, you know, whoa, pay attention. Like, I had not learned this aspect of meat eating yet. And I'm so grateful that I learned it, because this felt really like the hammer on the head of like, this is why you're not eating meat in this lifetime, Haley. And yeah, and of course I fasted after that. I did enemas, I drank really amazing herbs, and I feel great now. You know, and I just pretty much just ate melon for quite a few days, which helps to flush the body as well after that. And yeah, it's funny though, because my friend Matt was like, when are you going to tell Instagram that you're not a raw vegan, you know? And I was like, well, actually I did. Because normally if you go onto my Instagram page, it says like all raw, all vegan, or raw vegan, plant-based, something like that. But during that point, when I stopped eating meat, or I started eating meat and a little bit of cooked food, I took that off, and I just said intuitive eater. And then as soon as I was like, oh shit, Haley, that's another reason why, you know, I put it back on there, and now I'm like back on it. I'm like, oh, this is why, you know, I've been studying this for so long, and I've had so many experiences that really like hone in and drive home like why I eat the way that I eat. And I'm grateful for these experiences, and that's what I want to like pass on to you guys, is just the pure magic and beauty of listening to your body. You know, in that moment when I was like, oh, you're shifting and you're gonna eat bison, there was no judgment. I didn't care what anybody else thought. I didn't say, what about your hashtag raw vegan? You know, what about your raw vegan religion? You know, there was no judgment about past conditioning or what people said. It was just something that I felt. And again, noticing though, like on the deeper level, was it my mind saying that or my body saying that? But I had this way of just letting go of all judgments, you know, and that's what I want to share with you guys, is just how to listen and not come from outside things, just come from your own inner world, because what you're doing, right, is watering your garden, you're building up your temple. And in that moment, you know, I wasn't doing what was best necessarily short term for my body, but long term, I see that amazing thing that happened. You know, I had yet to experience that level of physical degeneration from eating meat, you know? So in the past, like, I mean, since I was a kid, like, I feel like 12 years old, I was like, oh wait, I can't kill an animal, how could I eat it? So from there, it was just kind of like on and off, and I had always had that ideology of, I can't eat it, I can't kill it, how could I eat it? And then, when I started my naturopathy training, I started learning about kind of the ill effects of meat, but my teacher never really drove it home from a place that was aggressive. She just said, you know, like, trust and listen and do your own research, you know? And yeah, let's see. And then after that, I remember eating, it was around the time of eating turkey, I realized the intense negative karma that comes with eating meat. This karmic knot that forms for me specifically, because I don't judge anybody else. You do what you want. But for me specifically, in this lifetime, if I eat meat, it's going to create this huge karmic knot right here, right in my solar plexus. And I don't want that. I don't want a huge load of karma on my plate, on my spiritual platter. You know, I also ate meat for a few days in a row, and again, it was like bison, probably about 5 years ago. I got really skinny and depleted, and my period stopped for 6 months. And I had been living in Mexico in the tropics for a little while, and then I came back to Colorado in the dead of winter, which is where I live on, you know, in the mountains. And my body went into shock, and I stopped bleeding for 6 months. And I didn't know what else to do in the moment, you know? And so after 6 months of being like, you know, people were like, oh, you just need to ground, Haley, you need to ground, and you'll get your moon blood, your fertility back, that magical thing. And I just could not fathom like what these people were talking about. And so I ate bison, and then I called my friend, this is all in one day, and I asked him to help me move sexual energy, because I'd been abstinent during that time. And I was like, maybe if I move energy physically in my womb, and also the sexual energy of the womb, and eat meat to build my blood, maybe that'll help. And literally within 12 hours, my period came. And I told my teacher afterwards, and she was like, no, hey, go to herbs, Haley, go to herbs. Like, you know this, go to herbs. And I was still like, oh, well, yeah, I guess I could have, blah, blah, blah. But now I get it. I get it. Literally, there is nothing that an animal product has that a plant product does not have. You know, like yellow dock, red raspberry leaf, those plants, molasses, of course greens, like those things have so much iron that for women especially, like we need way more iron than men need, you know? And I can get everything I need from that, from plants. Meat and animal don't give us anything except for cholesterol, except for bad cholesterol. You know, I have had my blood checked. It was a while ago, I'd probably say like 5 years ago or something. I got my blood checked because it was a free test at like the hospital or something. So I was like, nobody tell me anything, I just want my blood tested. and don't give me your propaganda. And what the heck was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I got my cholesterol checked. Hello. And my bad cholesterol was 0, literally 0. You know, good cholesterol was good, but cholesterol 0 bad. It's so great. And a side note, my dad and like pretty much everybody on all the sides has had some kind of like blood pressure, heart thing, but my dad has had the highest cholesterol of anybody that I've ever met. He's on tons of medication. He just had a heart attack a couple years ago, had I think a quadruple or triple bypass surgery. And my cholesterol 0. Why? Diet. It all comes down to diet. So anyways, I'm not meaning to have this be a preaching video, but like what I want to inspire everybody to do is to like begin cultivating that listening ear to the inner world and what it needs. And of course, educate yourself and gain knowledge and information and inspiration, but at the same time, like, F everything. Like, no, just listen here. Body, mind, spirit. Listen to what your temple, what your body needs, and let go of judgment, of whatever, you know? And, you know, ideally, if you're watching this, you're already tuned in to your health and you're wanting to continue your healthy mission, and that's really the biggest tool that I can offer to you is just just listen, you know? If your being says eat, eat. If your being says don't eat, don't eat. If your being says eat this, you know? I was telling my friend Matt, like, I think it's so weird that couples get together and eat the same food all the time. It's like, how can two bodies need the same exact thing every time, you know? Like, women need vastly different things than men need, you know, and we have different ages, and I think that's so funny how we like prepare meals together and then eat the same things, you know? Not that we shouldn't prepare meals together. I think that's so fun, but really dive into the deeper thing of like, what does your body need? What mineral is your body needing? What vitamin is your body needing? How much water? How much fat? How much protein? How much iron? Like B12? Like, what does your body need right now? And you know, the human body is made up of nutrients and vitamins and minerals, and we only need those, and you don't really get any of the things from processed foods. Like, those are devoid of nutrients. They're processed. They've had heat, light, and air, and it compromises the nutrients. And then, God forbid, if it's laden full of chemicals, which most processed foods are, you know, then it's definitely devoid of nutrients and has added toxic chemicals. No. You know, and then meat and animal products are just not, it might have nutrients technically outside of the human body, you know, but when you put it into our body, the body does not know how to break it down. It's not meant to break it down. So it doesn't absorb the nutrients, and it throws the body out of balance. You know, I tell a lot of my clients, like, the human body is like a fish tank. It has a specific pH balance that it likes to keep. You know, just like people have their fancy aquariums and they're constantly checking the water, right? If the water goes off, then bacteria grows or the fish die. Same thing with our human body, you know, like if we don't have our proper pH, then stuff goes out of whack. And cancer is the same thing as acidity. It's just more chronic. You know, on the acute scale, we have just inflammation and mucus congestion, and then inflammation, like minor pain. And then on the other side, the chronic side, is chronic disease and serious inflammation and serious pain and cancer. You know, it's like that whole spectrum. It's alkaline, acidity, you know? And so we want to stay alkaline because that keeps our fish tank, our water, happy. You know, we're like 50 liters of water. That's a lot of water. That's a lot of us is made out of water, you know? Like, that's why we got the thing happening. And so also the thing that balances the acid and alkaline in the body is calcium. So when you eat something that is acidic, the body cannot metabolize acidic things. It can only metabolize alkaline things. So in order for the body to metabolize it, which means break it down, assimilate it, distribute its nutrients, it has to make that acidic thing alkaline. So it actually pulls calcium from your reserves and mixes it into the combo, and then it can digest it and assimilate it, metabolize it. So if you're eating acidic foods, you're stealing calcium from your body. That's why so many people get osteoporosis who eat and drink milk and dairy. Dairy might have calcium outside of the body, but because it's so acidic, when you put it inside of the human body, it steals calcium from the reserves, the bones, the teeth, and it's used in that process, you know? So there's a lie right there. Dairy is not good for the body. It's really acidic. So what else do I want to say? That's about it. You know, set yourself up for success. Always have foods that nourish you and make you feel good, and journal. You know, journal. If you're starting out, journal what foods help you, what foods hinder you. Educate yourself from the outside world, but mainly from the inside world. Like, take note of like what your bowels did after you ate that food, or what your lymphatic system, or what your skin did, or what your hair, what your tongue, what does your tongue look like after you eat food? You know, it's so funny. If you watch me eat, I'll constantly be looking at my tongue. And that tells me a lot about what that food did to my inner body, you know, in my inner alchemy. So You'll see me like that after I eat. Wonder how many strangers have seen me do that and what they think, but who gives a fudge? Yeah, and definitely reach out to me for support if you have questions about things or you just want to talk to somebody about your journey. Like, I've kind of been through the ringer with food and am this way and have this ability to listen because it took time, you know, and so if I could just inspire you to take the time to get to know your temple and yourself and to make love to yourself in every moment, in every way that you can. And know that self-care is not selfish, it's just self-care and self-love, and we need to remember that on every level. And as we do that, the voice of our body will just get louder and clearer, and it will be so grateful that we're listening and acting in those ways, and it will just shine down upon you just the most beautiful and radiant things. And we are all deserving of that radiance, and may we gain the willpower to do that. And also relax, don't worry about anything. Clearly, stress does nothing, and chill out. If you hit a speed bump, like you eat meat for 3 days, oh, that's okay. You just had to learn this serious life lesson, you know? Chill out and move on. And always stay inspired, you know, in whatever way you can. Watch YouTube videos, read books, talk to friends, build community, or stay reclusive and just dive deep inward and listen to what your body says. And yeah, I want to show you guys my view before I head out. I can't swap it, so we'll see what happens here. Welcome to the beautiful view up here in Sunshine Canyon, Boulder, Colorado. This is my office, of course, with gold windows. Remember that you are love. And catch you guys on the flip side. Thanks for tuning in to this extra tender, authentic, vulnerable message. And my next video will be about how my irises have changed drastically since becoming a mostly raw vegan. Love you guys. Mahalo. So much love.
I stay up late to watch the moon shine. I stay up late to watch the moon shine. I stay up late to watch the moon shine. I stay up late to watch the moon shine. Moonshine. Oh, 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 oh. I stay up late to watch the moon shine up from my center within. I stay up late to watch the moon shine up from my center within. I stay up late to watch the moon shine up from my center within. I stay up late to watch the moon shine.